great to see you all, and thanks for coming out on this snowy Brussels morning. It's Monday, and the people have got sort of very busy time, I know, both today and towards the end of the week. So I'm going to cut short what I was going to say, but I want to sort of provoke a little bit of a discussion if we can. I'm working for something called the Ethical Journalism Network. After I left the IFJ 4 years ago, I decided to focus on issues related to ethics, good governance and self-regulation of journalism. That this morning. Who are we in the Ethical Journalism Network? It's a coalition of media professional groups working right across all platforms. All of them, whether they're newspaper owners, private or public broadcasters, online journalist groups and so on, all of them are committed to the principles of, as I say, ethical journalism and good governance. And hate speech, in all its forms, is really probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, problem that we face. We live in societies which are increasingly uncertain. People are worried about the future. They're worried about their jobs, they're worried about their children, they're worried about how they see their life developing. That uncertainty, which is a legitimate uncertainty, has led to a number of sort of clear casualties in terms of people's confidence. First of all, a lack of confidence in political systems, political structures, the traditional sort of faith that we have that our national governments or our sort of collective political forces are able to protect us, able to sort of guarantee that we have a sound and secure future. That's being called into question. We see that with the rise of extremist political groups and so on in all parts of Europe, but elsewhere we see it as well. And when people are uncertain and are difficult and finding the future difficult to comprehend, very often they begin to return to communities where they feel safer and secure. That can actually be communities which are their own communities, their own cultures, based on different ethnicities and culture and language and so on, and very often also of religion. So we find that religion begins to play more of a part in people's lives because it gives them a moral core. It gives them something to rely on. And when we see a collapse or the beginnings of an erosion of confidence in democracy and what democracy stands for, then we see enormous challenges for journalists and media. But how do we manage to keep this together? And the issues we have been focusing on in the last period have been to do with Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, a big debate suddenly in all countries in Europe today. The issues of religion, race relations, migration. Migration is an issue which touches upon all of the things that I've already referred to. And this shows how the complexities of uncertainty that exist in modern societies are interrelated. And so therefore journalists who are dealing with migration issues are also touching on hate speech issues. They're also touching on issues of intercultural conflict and so on. And the issue is, how do we begin to deal with those issues? Issues related to gender equality, issues related to sexuality and so on. In many parts of the world where we're doing work now, in the Middle East, in Africa, in parts of Asia, these issues are lightning rods for conflict in society. And journalists find themselves absolutely trapped in trying to defend and promote a debate about human rights and values, while at the same time there is a movement backwards and so on. So how do we deal with it? And how do we deal with it in terms of the Charlie Hebdo conflict and so on? Finally, and probably the most important challenge for journalism, is slow journalism. Because all of the things I've talked about require thinking. You need to sit back, you need to reflect. You need to think, what are the consequences of this? How do we work? Is this the right thing to do? We need to consult more. We need to consult internally more. Journalists need to talk with one another about it. We need to sort of have more contact with our audience, have a sort of better understanding. The rush to publish is not an ethical principle. But we have to recognise that journalism is not open internet information and so on and so forth. There's a distinction. I open my computer, I can sort of say what I want, I can put in what I want on my blog. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry if it's true. I don't have to worry about if it's offensive. I don't have to worry if it deeply offends other groups. I don't even have to say who I am. I can pretend to be somebody else. I certainly don't have to say sorry for anything that I do. because that's free expression. The right to be able to do that is fantastically liberating, and I can do it as quickly as I want without any worries about it. That's free expression.
Last question: is there anything you think that the European Union could do and they haven't done?
Well, I think the European Union is a political institution. It brings together governments and sort of political parties from right across the whole of Europe. And I think one of the things they can do, which they haven't done in my view, is to take action to try to reduce the temperature, particularly reduce the political temperature. There should be much more outspoken criticism of people in politics who use hate speech. I mean, very often people in politics say things out that are just frankly outrageous so that they can get themselves covered in the press or on TV. Now, I think this is a misuse of politics. It's not democratic, and I think it's contributing to the breakdown of good political pluralism and democracy in Europe. And I think the European Union should be in the forefront of challenging that form of politics. The European Parliament should be isolating those political parties that are seeking to promote hate speech. Political parties themselves should be kicking out people in their membership who are promoting hate speech. Governments should be leading the charge for a more humane, democratic and tolerant form of politics. The European Union should be a haven for political pluralism and tolerance. It isn't. And I think the institutions of the European Union, particularly the Council, particularly the Parliament, should play much more of a role in trying to sort of get their own political house in order. The same needs to be said, of course, for the religious communities, the faith-based communities. They too must isolate people who are promoting hate and so on. So there's a lot of work to be done. This isn't a journalistic question. It's a society question. It involves people in the leadership of politics and the leadership of religion. And